iTestify is about testifying of what Jesus Christ has done and can do in each of our lives. Through testimony of people just like you, and through study of His Word, our prayer is to encourage each follower of Christ to be a light in this world. So let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16.
Hello everyone, thanks for joining us again on iTestify, and today we have a special guest with us, Pastor Keala Thompson, and he's actually going to talk to us a little bit about the ministries that he's involved in. Thank you so much for being with us here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. So I know that you are the founder of Loud and Clear Ministries and also Healing Rain Ministries, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And you came to talk to us today about Healing Rain, right?
Yes.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Healing Rain is a program we have, is a school, a 10-day school on emotional healing and physical healing and spiritual healing all combined together. And we feel that you can't separate the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. As Jesus went around and everywhere he went and he preached the gospel spiritual, he taught, which is the mental, and then he also healed all manner of diseases, so physical. So you always combine the physical, the mental, and spiritual together. Yeah.
Can I just ask one little question?
Yeah.
What made you decide to do this? Was there something that you saw a need for in people or in communities?
I think it's my own life of how I needed healing, physical, mental, and spiritual, and also pastoring in Hawaii conference for like 15 years. And I felt that the things I was doing in ministry and just preaching, it wasn't really hitting like I felt what the members needed. I was dealing more with the external and the symptoms, but not dealing with the root cause and helping them to gain the victory and overcome in the struggles in real life. So this really made me wrestle within myself and for my own healing as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's really needed sometimes when we see what the issues are with people and actually addressing those instead of saying that's for someone else. So I'm glad you stepped up to do that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it's I know that you came to talk about a video that promotes what you're doing. Can you tell us a little bit about leading up, like what the video is about and that sort of thing? Or?
So this is the video on Healing Rain Hawaii that we just had in 2019. And based on a few principles, I want to go to in John chapter 4, 15 and 16. And talk about Jesus and the woman at the well, John chapter 4, verse 15, and Jesus was giving her the message of truth, and the woman said in 15, the woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water that I may not thirst, nor come here to draw." So this woman was begging to Jesus, "Please give me this water. I want this water, please." Now, if someone's begging you, "Please give me the truth," this truth that you have, what would you do? And normally you would give them the truth. But notice what Jesus did instead. In verse 16, it says, Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come here." It's almost like Jesus didn't really give her the direct answer she was looking for, but he felt that before she could actually appreciate the truth or apply the truth, she just had to deal with her broken relationship, because we know that she's had 5 marriages and divorces, a lot of brokenness and hurt and pain that needed to be healed. And then the person she was living with was not even her husband. So this realizing that she couldn't trust anymore, her heart, it was a wall around her heart. She couldn't trust a commitment anymore. And she just felt that she had to learn to experience healing first, emotional healing. And so, and then he dealt with the truth afterwards. And that woman was able to go to the whole town and bring the whole town to Jesus. And here's a woman who never had one class on evangelism, was able to bring a whole town to Jesus. And sometimes I say, hey, how come sometimes we have so much classes and we have a hard time bringing one person to Jesus?
Yeah.
And I think it's that we have to deal with the root cause in the heart and deal in healing of the personal pain. And I realize that a lot of people are really hurting out there, a lot of emotional pain especially, even not only in the world, but especially in our churches. I'm seeing that as I pastored in.
At first it seems like such a non sequitur, right? And you're like, oh, he's not even answering the question. But and I think also is that she really, like you said, she really wanted the truth. So it's like maybe we want things that we're not ready for sometimes, and he had to, he had, because of course Jesus knew, he knew that in order to receive the truth, she needed to have a fallow ground, and so the healing needed to happen.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Amen. I think sometimes people, they're so hurting, not only physical, like with the physical health message, which is important, but also the emotional pain. Sometimes it's so painful that they just lost a child, or they have just going through a divorce. And if we try to present just our doctrinal beliefs at that point, like they're not interested in so much the truth. Like we have to deal with the healing their physical pains because it's so painful, and then relieve that symptoms and the suffering, and also especially the emotional and mental pain, because that's just as painful, even more painful, in studies that even than just the physical pain as well.
And Christy, I love that idea. You need to have the proper fallow ground before the full truth is given.
That's true.
Amen. Amen.
And so we're ready to watch the video clip as you were mentioning. So, audience, let's wait.
To evangelistic series, you get knowledge of God. When you go to Bible studies, you get to learn more about the Bible. Healing Rain, in a sense, the book that you're studying is your testament. The book that you're looking at is your life. It's really giving yourself the opportunity to examine it. We're all broken, and you look at your actions today. Well, why am I so angry? Why am I so sad? Why am I so this? Why am I so that? Give God an opportunity and say, Lord, like, this is my life. You know it all, but here I'm telling it to you so I can find freedom.
Nice. Very good, very good. Yeah, me too.
As a Pacific Island boy, you don't know how to deal with certain issues and understanding why you get angry, why did you smoke, why do I drink, and I thought those are problems, but I didn't understand there was the symptoms of something bigger. I was so focusing on the top instead of focusing on the root of my issues, and it helped me to be a better father, a better husband, and be able to help others as well.
The relationship between my wife and I, there are a lot of times where we used to use different methods of control. The cold shoulder or the silent treatment, get angry and break stuff so that we wouldn't discuss and talk about those specific topics. But when we look at the character of God in terms of when we sin against God, God doesn't do that kind of stuff. He doesn't retaliate and break stuff to try and force or control us back to what He wants. But God allows us to have decisions and to choose to come back together.
In the covenant of marriage, and as you have agreed on your vows, I now, as the minister of the gospel, from this moment on, that all know of your desire to continue for a lifetime as husband and wife, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. Amen. Amen.
So after the first healing rain, my husband and my two boys came along, and it was such a healing environment for our family. It brought us together. It allowed the children to have their own experience and to begin to feel free, to be safe, to talk about whatever issues they were going through. And it was just such a healing environment where it empowered us to draw closer together. the benefit of seeing our family come together and being able to understand who God is, but also understand each other and be more loving and be more forgiving, be more open with each other.
The most important in your life right now, you're sitting on the fence. How does it feel? How do you feel right now sitting on that fence? Do you feel safe? Do you feel confused? Are you sick of sitting on that negative emotions? Is that wearing you out? Is that pulling you apart? How much do you want to experience freedom? My name is Manasa Fatoi.
My name is Angel Mahaulu.
My name is Alelevili.
My name is Lani Mahelona.
Come to Healing Rain.
Just come.
And I encourage you to come.
Come and see. Come and experience for yourself.
See it for yourself. Come and experience the true love of God that will be able to reach your heart.
It will change your life, and it will help you to see the true image of God and how much He loves you.
To the source who is Jesus Christ.
Like Christ said, taste and see. And yeah, come, try it out.
Thank you so much for sharing that video with us. It's awesome. Makes me want to go now.
Good.
Yeah. Also, I've never been to Hawaii, so.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
It's warmer
you would
than
love
it
it.
is here.
Yeah. I mean, just listening to the stories was just very moving. Almost brought me to tears. But also the background, just God's natural wonder in the background. It's also a reminder that God is bigger than our problems.
Amen.
And just to see the mountains there covered by the green with the flowers, I'm like, what a perfect setting for your school, brother.
Thank you.
I was particularly interested when the children were there, and you could see that they were also participating. I guess in my head it was just like, oh, okay, emotional problems, adult problems. That was me. It obviously is not true. But you invite whole families.
Yes. This generation, they live in a culture of fear, and that fear drives a lot of anxiety and depression. So the suicide rate in the last 12 years for preteens or 10 to 14-year-olds has tripled. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of statistics where this generation is just really the broken generation. Mm-hmm. So we see that the young people, especially teenagers and preteens, really need healing more than any generation before.
Mm. Can you share some specific examples maybe of families with young kids who came, like we saw in the video? What kind of programs or any specific program that do you have for the youth?
Yeah, we try to make a family environment in the whole program. So like in the morning, there's actually an exercise program, and they do things like K45 or this high intensity training. And then we kind of family comes together for that, and then we have worship together as a family. It's kind of like we're trying to make it like a real life experience. And then we have class on emotional healing, and we have side classes at the same time for different age groups. So we had a teen one the last time, and that's what people bring in their teenagers, and we're going to add a preteen one, even younger, from 8 to 12 for that. So at the same time. And then we have biblical advising after the morning classes. I do the morning classes on emotional healing. And then lunch. And then we have life skills classes. And these life skills classes help them to be equipped and empowered to go back home and actually apply these new skills. So we apply healthy cooking, plant-based cooking. We have a Hawaiian plant-based cooking in a different class. You only can take one class all week. So you can choose one. And you have healing natural remedies. We use herbal teas and medicine, and then we apply the concrete work. There's things you can use in a practical sense, massage, healing massage, and sewing in Australia, so different agriculture, construction. So they choose one class and they apply. And these classes actually helped him to learn how to problem solve, to do critical thinking and the reason from cause to effect, because not just focusing on the symptom, but learning how to figure out what is your root cause on the physical realm in our life skills classes, and then parallel that to the spiritual realm. And okay, you figure out where is your root causes that's causing you to stumble spiritually and with negative emotions. So.
You know, it's actually interesting because I was listening to a sermon recently, and it was talking about how if your thoughts are wrong, then your emotional response is wrong. And it starts from there, and then your character will be marred because of that. And, you know, I was just curious, with some of the things that you're doing, they're practical. They're hands-on, you have to think about what you're doing, but sometimes as you get good at something, you know, your mind starts to wander. And how do you guys teach about that sort of thing? Like how to think, how to change your thinking maybe, and just in everyday life, it's not possible to distract yourself from everything, you know, and so I was just wondering if you guys teach about that.
If we go into the mind, definitely. The last session we had was called Renewing of the Mind, and that's what Australia is going to be on. And each year the classes change on emotional healing. I don't want to say that if the thoughts are wrong, the feelings will be wrong.
Yeah, there it is.
So feelings follow the thoughts, and actions follow the feelings. So you have to go into your thoughts. And we go even into where you can actually follow someone's behavior, and you can actually almost, in a sense, read the mind going back to the feelings, because feelings goes before behavior. And you can go back to the thoughts because the feelings follow the thoughts to figure out what is wrong. That's how I discover what the root causes is, rather than just the external symptoms and external behavior. Because sometimes we think if they're drinking alcohol, we're just like, well, you need to quit it in order to get baptized. But not realizing that they're drinking it to drown out their sorrows. You heard of that before? To numb their pain. And so even Jesus on the cross, they tried to numb his pain, but he didn't take it because he felt he needed to go through it without numbing the pain.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'll even speak personally for myself. I've suffered through depression for when I was a teenager, actually. So when you're talking about like teenagers having that issue and fear, I could see myself there. And but definitely people teach you now to take medication or something that will help you not feel so much. And so I wonder if that's actually a good thing, to just not feel, is that actually helping you to you know, deal with the emotions that you're going through, or the thoughts or whatever. So I think I like the fact that you guys are addressing that to help real issues and deal with real problems for people, and give an alternative to what the world is teaching. You know. So,
I agree.
Yeah.
There was if we were at, say, like a nuclear plant, and the radiation leak was going on, and the alarm was blaring, and we're like, wow, that's so irritating, and we're putting hands around the ears and like they want to close the eyes, and we get a big sledgehammer, and we smash the light, and we smash the alarm, and we go, there, now it's so peaceful, and we can just relax now, right? We think that's good. But that's what we do with like our bodies. Like when we're physically sick, we don't want to change our lifestyle. We just want to take a pill, and the symptoms God gave us was of our body's warning. It's like a headache telling us something's wrong on the inside. You didn't drink enough water, or there's a root cause, maybe too much caffeine or whatever. You know, there's a root cause you have to discover rather than just taking a pill and numbing the pain. And the spiritual realm in the same way is that when we have negative emotions like anger or depression or anxiety or addictions, that's just a symptom. And sometimes we like to just numb it with pills or management classes and stuff, but actually it's just a warning sign that God put in our bodies to warn us that something deep inside that's hurt us in the past that we haven't healed from yet. And that's what I believe Healing Rain, we're trying to help you to discover. We want to empower you to be able to fish and not do the fishing for you. That's what we want you to learn. Life skills classes, practical resources, help you to figure out for yourself what's wrong and the root causes, and then empower you when you go back home.
Speaking of the life skills classes, I'm just interested, what kind of results come from that? Like, what kind of object lessons have people learned?
I personally think that, though I teach the emotional healing classes in the morning, I think that's where the miracles happen. And I think of the School of the Prophets remember they asked the teacher Elisha to go in to build a new school, and they're cutting down the trees, and the axe head flew into the water and it sunk, and he threw the stick into the water and the axe head floated. Remember that?
Yeah.
So I always ask the students, where did the miracle happen? Did it happen in the classroom, or did it happen out in the life skills class? And I believe that's where the life skills classes really does miracles. I think we kind of leaving that out. And when the teacher's working with the students as well, that's when the really miracles happen. And when he talks about those classes, which is very important as well, binding the hearts of the students together in love, and opens the way for more successful teaching in the classroom, and many other things that helps them to heal. Being in the garden and watching nature and applying the principles of root causes in nature just is very powerful. People come up with very powerful object lessons. So yeah, good point. Yeah.
You know, I love in the video that there are some happy endings, you know, to some of the people, like, you know, families with teenagers coming to realize, to identify their sorrow and leave it at the foot of the cross. In the video, there was a couple that recommitted themselves to each other. Can you tell us a little bit about that story? That to me was a surprise, but I think it was a beautiful surprise. You know, like as a minister of the gospel, you allow them to recommit themselves to marriage and holy matrimony. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, they came, you know, most of the people fly in outside of Hawaii, so they came from up here, from California, to restore their marriage. So we get couples who want to renew their marriages, and so they went to the whole program. And we did, like, one of our classes, the good, the bad, and the jealous. That's a class I have. So deal with jealousy, deal with denial, deal with this addiction. So there's a lot of different things we deal with. And so that week they decided to ask me, we would like to do a renewal vows. So we did a renewal vows in front of everyone.
Beautiful.
And it was like a restoration of their marriage together at the end.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do people that come as couples or families, do they take all the classes together, or do they do it separate and together?
They do it together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Can you speak more to the classes that you teach? You said in the early morning, the emotional healing. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that's like?
Okay. Yes, so I like to use active learning teaching methods because, especially the younger generation, I think the average attention span for college-age students now is 9 minutes. And so we have so when I teach, and I'm very interactive, they can ask questions anytime. So, because a lot of times when you just teach or preach, when you're just lecturing or preaching, you don't know if they're following you. But when I'm asking questions, I know exactly where they're at. And many times they're not really following me. So especially with these topics, because they never really thought about them before. So it's really, really new to them, and even though they've been in church their whole lives. So, and then say like 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, I do a question, and they answer the question in silence for like a minute. And then I say, okay, discuss it with a partner for 2 people. And they do that. So every 10 minutes we do that. And then at the end, I say, okay, break into groups of 6 or 7 and do a case scenario that you solve this problem solving skills, discover the root causes, apply what you learned into this. And they do that. And at the end, one person from each group comes up and shares their solutions. And I ask preferably somebody who maybe gone through that experience as a case scenario, so it's more real and applicable. So it's kind of, that's the morning classes and how we do it. But we focus on the emotional healing. Every year is different classes on, yeah.
I think it's interesting because what we're really talking about here is education, right? Like you're re-educating yourself in how to live.
Yeah.
And you're already mentioning Ellen White. I know she has so much to say about education that I think it would be good for us to use. Things like you're not just sitting in front of a desk with your book for 8 hours straight, but the active part and the practical application and the interaction even with other students and even students teaching other students. So I just see all of these things in Spirit of Prophecy that you've applied to Healing Rain.
Amen.
I see that there are results, true, actual results.
The amazing thing is that the principles of true education from the Spirit of Prophecy and emotional healing was a beautiful blend. Whoever thought,
Yeah.
I was more into the true education at first, and then the pastoral ministry made me realize, wait, the needs, and just tried it together, and it's, wow, this worked together exponentially, and like, wow, it's very powerful. Just the classes alone, I feel like the most powerful part is not even my classes, is actually the life skills classes. I always tell the staff that life skills classes are more important than my classes, you know, and more time is given to that than even in my classes. So this works very nicely together. So.
How has your family been blessed through this ministry? Because I'm sure they've been maybe sometimes in the background, sometimes in the foreground, watching you, interacting. How have they been blessed?
Oh, my wife, we've all been blessed because this is for Healing Rain is for me and for my family. It's really helped us a lot, and we've been growing. And my wife is 2 years ago, she got rebaptized. I got rebaptized too, and she got rebaptized.
Wow.
And my last year, my daughter also got baptized for the first time. And we made a point not to pressure, not even to ask, let the Holy Spirit work. And you know, she turned 50 and like getting kind of worried, but she came, but she came forward and said she wanted to be baptized. So that was a shock, and it was like, I was really excited. That happened last year.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned that you were talking about Australia. So please do share the upcoming series and the upcoming things that we have for Healing Rain.
Yes, we have. So I think we have a slide here. So we have Australia coming up next month, March 20 to 29. It's in Queensland.
Okay.
And I think it's about the 4th year we've done it there. And yeah, so that's going to be 10 days next month.
Wonderful. And then in the States, we have
Right now we have Hawaii. So October 16 to 25 is this year. So every year in October is Hawaii, and also every year in Australia in March.
Wonderful. And I know Wade already mentioned that he'd like to go.
Yes.
So-
Yes, you like Hawaii.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely. And also just to attend the class, and I really like the emphasis of being in the life skills class. Again, like you mentioned, I think you're following in the footsteps of Christ, quite literally, because Christ did most of his teaching where? In nature. You know, drawing the people to parables in the daily common activities of life. And I think those life skill classes are quite amazing. And yeah, I just hope that the Lord will continue to bless you.
Amen. And actually, the classes are actually outside.
Oh, they are.
Both locations.
wonderful.
Very
That's
beautiful.
nice.
Nature is. I feel that it works way better outside, actually.
Tell us, how can we go? How can we sign up?
You can sign up. You can register. So there's the website information. You can register online, healingrainhawaii.com, and you can email us too as well. So
That's wonderful. And I see you also have a Loud and Clear Call,
Yes.
which was your main ministry.
yes, our main ministry, which we travel and speak on. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, Pastor Keala, thank you so much for coming. It's been a wonderful time talking about something that I still think needs a bigger platform, and just one of those things that is a taboo subject. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank
We
you for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Join us next time on another episode of I Testify.